Oh, Royal Sussex squad, gather around because this one's about to make the haters sweat. King Charles and the royal PR machine may have tried to put on their best stiff upper lip act for the 80th anniversary of victory in Europe Day, but let me tell you something. What the cameras didn't show, what the headlines avoided saying, is this: Prince Harry's absence from that palace balcony wasn't just noticeable, it was humiliating. Not for Harry. No. It was King Charles's greatest humiliation yet. Let's talk facts. This was supposed to be a moment of national unity, pomp and pageantry, a show of strength for king and country. But instead of looking regal and united, that royal balcony looked incomplete. It looked hollow. Why? Because the only living royal who has actually served in combat, who's been in the thick of it on the front lines in Afghanistan, was nowhere to be seen. Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, war veteran, advocate, father, husband and global humanitarian, chose to remain far from the facade that is Buckingham Palace. And why? Because he was pushed out, because he was forced out, because the very institution that claims to represent family and unity couldn't manage to open their arms to their own flesh and blood, not even when the king himself is battling cancer. Now, I know some of the salty tabloids like to say Harry's to blame, that he aired dirty laundry, that he betrayed the family. But let's get real. This isn't about youthful idiocy or grievances aired publicly, because, last I checked, princes behaving badly have always been forgiven when their last names aren't Sussex. This is about something else. It's about power, control, and envy. Let's talk about the real saboteur here, Prince William. According to sources close to the palace, it's not Charles who's refusing reconciliation. It's William. The same William who's been leaking to the press. The same William whose petty jealousy has been an open secret for years. You want to talk about palace intrigue? Start with the heir to the throne acting like a schoolyard bully, blocking any chance of healing because of bruised ego. How is it that the future King of England can't stomach the return of his own brother, a decorated soldier and devoted father? Why is William being allowed to dictate the emotional fate of a nation and the spiritual condition of a monarchy that's falling apart at the seams? Let's not forget, King Charles's authority is in shambles. The minute he went public with his cancer diagnosis, he lost leverage. The power dynamic shifted. Now Charles looks like a lame duck monarch, to borrow the phrase, while William positions himself as the new sheriff in town. But here's the twist. Even without a royal title, even without a seat at the balcony, Harry remains the most relevant royal on the planet. How do we know? A YouGov poll this week shows Harry still has a 56% favourability rating in the US. That's more than William, more than Kate, and definitely more than Charles. The American people
I still think there's that lovely irony,
and they know
that they were
authenticity.
particularly two of the veterans were here,
Meanwhile,
joining in the speed,
the UK
celebrations,
media
calling
tried to
for the king.
humiliate
We want
Harry
the king.
with some ridiculous story about him knocking on doors
doors
and
just
looking
opened,
for
the
old
royal
friends.
family
that's about
As
the
if that
cheers are going
somehow
up.
undermines
So
his claim
very
to
shortly,
safety or
military precision
isolation.
timing.
It doesn't.
Which royal will
All
we see
it does
first? Will
is
it be the
confirm
king?
that Harry has
Usually
been
it is
cut
the
off
king,
from the
yeah,
very
car
world
first.
he
In
once
fact, he
lived
is
in.
the king and
There
queen
he
just
is.
making the way
There
on
they
the
are.
balcony.
His family,
Well, how
hostile,
lovely.
his security,
Huge cheers from the
stripped,
crowds, Union
and still he
flags
stands
waving,
tall.
thousands and
And who
thousands of
stands?
people
He's
outside
waving.
Buckingham
Meghan
Palace.
Markle.
Yeah,
Forever
they're both
poised,
waving. Well,
always
that's
graceful
terrific.
and more determined than ever.
We also see Prince
While the
George,
British
Princess
press
Charlotte,
is
and
obsessed
Prince
with her
Louis.
every move, Meghan is building a future. She
Yeah.
just
Coming
brought on
out.
Sarah Fosmo, a former assistant to Bill Gates,
alongside
as her
Prince
new
Wales.
chief of
She's
staff.
the Princess
That's not
Charlotte with her little
desperation,
brother,
baby.
Louis.
That's what power moves look like. Let's be
William's
clear,
taking his
Meghan
cap
is
off.
not going anywhere. In fact, she's getting stronger.
The Princess Royal,
The same woman who was
wearing the
vilified by
uniform
the
that
palace
her
press
mother
is
wore,
now
Queen
being
Elizabeth
praised
II
by
in
icons like
1945,
Beyoncé, who
and
literally
by
told
Samuel
Meghan
I
she
did
was
catch a
chosen
glimpse
to
of
break
Prince Edward, so he is
generational
there.
Yeah.
And if
Although
that
I
doesn't
missed
make the
him.
haters
Yes,
choke
he is.
on
He's
their
behind
Prince
the
Edward's
crumpets,
there behind Sophie,
I don't
Yeah.
know what will.
to the left of the...
And the
While the
Duke-
royals
and
were
the
parading
older
little
figure at the
Prince
back,
Louis
Cameron,
around
is
like
the
a
Duke of
circus
Kent,
act
Yes.
to
who I think
distract
is
from
now
their internal
89,
rot,
and of course
Meghan was
very,
showing
very
the
close
world
to
how
the
to
late
raise
Queen.
royal
89,
children
he
with
was the
dignity
Queen's
and
first
privacy.
cousin, a
Yeah.
grandson
She
of
shared a
King
rare
George
glimpse of
V.
Archie and Lilibet for
His
Mother's
father
Day.
was killed during the
Backs turned
Second
to the
World
camera,
War in
heads full
a
of red
plane
hair,
crash for Duke of Kent.
radiating love
So he'll have
and
memories
peace.
of V-Day because he was
Because
10
let's face
years
it,
old
Harry
when
and
it
Meghan
happened,
are
but of course he wasn't
redefining
a working
royalty.
member
Not
of the
through
royal family at
titles,
that time,
not
so he
through
wasn't on the
ceremonies,
balcony.
but
So
through
this is the first
authenticity,
major
through compassion,
commemoration of
through
V-Day
action.
without saying
And then there's
member
the
of the royal
dirty
family
little secret
with
that Harry
living
wants
memory
to
of being on the balcony.
He's done wonderful work, Duke of Kent. I listened to music
While they
that
obsessive
Okay, so
with
here they
Meghan
come.
Markle
Can you hear it
long
come?
notes before Harry knocked on the stranger's door. Prince Andrew's former
So
cousin
the first maid is the Lancaster
saying
bomb.
the royal was an underage girl. The same Andrew, who still enjoys royal protection, a taxpayer-funded residence, and a palace spoon.
That was a bit special, wasn't it?
Let's talk
To
about
be
that.
right underneath it.
The royal family exiled Harry and Meghan over a podcast with a few honest interviews. They protect a man with links to Jeffrey Epstein.
And notice whether they
They
flown
kicked
that
Meghan
aircraft
out
first,
over
obviously slower than some of the modern
baby
aircraft.
showers, but they let
Yes.
Andrew roam
And
free on
that
royal
particular
grounds.
plane was built in
That's
Chester
corruption.
in
That's moral bankruptcy.
1945.
And it's
The war
exactly
against
why Harry and
Japan
Meghan left.
ended before it was deployed,
It's
however, so
exactly
it
why
never
they'll
took
never
part in
go
any
back.
of the
So Royal
hostilities.
Sussex squad, what are we left with? A palace in
The
crisis,
war against
So that was the Lancaster. Now here
a
comes the
brother full of
Voyagers.
bitterness, desperate,
Orient
obsessed.
Voyager.
And standing above it all, Harry and Meghan are still loving, still thriving,
the-
still winning.
Close to each
We
other.
see
There
through
was
the
an
smear
optical
campaign. We
illusion.
reject the false.
A400.
We celebrate truth, courage and a
Atlas
love
Prize
story
Norton.
that continues to inspire the world. Harry's absence from Palace balcony is King Charles's greatest humiliation last week. The United Kingdom
Voyager
marked the
flown by
80th
Flight
anniversary
Lieutenant
of victory
Jason
in Europe
Alty.
Day, with a series of poignant and
And
celebratory events.
the A400
The royal
Atlas
family, including King Charles III, Prince William and Princess Kate,
is
attended
also
the
behind
service
that
of
aircraft.
Thanksgiving at
It's
Westminster
noticeable there's a fair
Abbey,
gap between the
observing
planes
2
because of
minutes
all
of
the cloud
silence
cover.
in
Is that what it
remembrance
is?
of
They've
the
obviously been very careful
commemorations
about it.
culminated in a classic royal concert and horse-cars parade, celebrating
is
the
the
resilience and unity
C-17
of the nation,
Globemaster.
with plenty of Union Jack
Harry and
imagery.
Meghan.
Notably absent from these events was Prince Harry, despite being one of the very few living royals to have seen active military
It's a
service.
long-range strategic heavy-lift transport
While it's
aircraft
valid
that
to argue
commemorates
that
the
Harry has
standard
behaved
combat.
unwisely
in the
litigating
breeze.
his grievances
Do you know
with
that
the
is the
royal
size of a
family
tennis
in
court,
public.
that royal standard?
Youthful
Genuinely.
idiocy
Is it
in
really?
princes
It is the
is
largest
usually
one on
forgiven.
the
Dot
usual
indeed
ceremony.
They have a
follows
variety of
Yugoslav
sizes of
They
all
do.
standard,
This is the
don't they?
fourth
indicated that
largest.
Harry
Yeah,
still
this is the
maintains
largest,
a
and it's the
56%
size of a tennis court.
rating in the United States.
You could put it in perspective. You see the
Kings
size
are
of the
expected
men,
to
you
be
know, the
wiser.
security guy on top of
And
the
the
you
failure
could
to get Harry
so
back inside
that
the royal
that,
tent
you could play your Wimbledon final on
That's
that.
a very
Isn't that amazing.
It's pretty
Harry's
impressive.
ongoing
Quiz question.
absence
That's a good pub quiz question, Nigel.
which Harry did his best
It's the next phase.
This is a P-8 Poseidon MRA-1 aircraft.
represents a painful
operated by number 14,
not to mention his
squadron
oft-vaunted
based
legacy
at
being
RAF
left
for the
Lottman.
pilots too.
close to the king.
Great honour for
And
the
Prince
pilots too to be taken
William
part in this extraordinary.
Absolutely. Wing Commander Andy Watson is aboard this aircraft, using its radios and sensors to enable effective supervision of this entire flypast on that plane. Fun facts
How
for
many
you there.
planes in this all together,
William's
Cameron?
team has
Oh,
argued
I'd need to
that
count, I'm
Charles
afraid.
cannot approve the air
A number.
that William cannot live with. With the cat
Next
out
we're
of the
up,
bag,
we're going to have 6
Charles
Typhoon
increasingly
jets,
looks
so
like
it's
a
going to be
lame
incredibly loud in a moment.
It is.
We like
Here
that.
it is,
We
I can hear it
like
coming.
that.
Is compromised somewhat
That's
by
noisy.
the remarkable in Chelsea, searching for friends, John and Georgina. He was seen knocking on the doors of random residences they no longer occupy, having long since
They're
moved.
getting closer and closer. They're going to get into terrible trouble if they
A lot of air cadets there,
Yeah, there
maybe
is.
at GB News
I
Town.
know, they love us.
Yes. There's a fair few air cadets watching this flypast and waving to us and waving to Nigel.
In an apparent
GB
effort
News
to
tent.
stabilise their
Yeah, they're not waving to
operation,
the BBC.
Meghan Markle has appointed Sarah Foster, former assistant to Bill Gates, as her new chief of staff.
Oh, that's really nice.
This move follows a series of staff departures and is seen as an attempt
And the magnificent finale of the RAF Red Arrows
Prince George, Princess Charlotte,
with the red, white and royal blue smoke. Iconic flying over central London and Buckingham Palace.
Meanwhile,
A
Markle
huge
shared new
applause from the
photos of her
crowds
children,
as members of the royal
Prince
family
Archie
waved to them
and Princess
from
Lily
the
on
Buckingham
Instagram
Palace
to
balcony.
mark Mother's Day.
And the national anthem is
The
being
images
played.
showing the backs of their heads highlighted their red hair and heritage. They also highlighted the physical and emotional distance between the cousins. Harry has indicated that he cannot envision bringing his children back to the UK, saying it is not safe,
And Nigel, good to see the
suggesting
King
that
so
the current
well.
estrangement may persist
Oh,
indefinitely.
apparently so well.
It's good to see the king
Harry and
here.
Markle enjoyed
Yeah.
a date night at Beyonce's Cowboy Carter tour at Sophie Stadium in Los Angeles.
I understand the treatment he's undergoing is pretty
The couple
intense.
shared
Yeah,
affectionate
sure, that's right.
moments,
He's
with
putting a
Markle
very, very
posting
brave face
photos
on it.
and videos on Instagram, including one of Harry wearing a cowboy hat.
And And it was why
personalised with their
the
children's
comments
names.
from his youngest son the other day were so inappropriate.
Harry and Meghan Markle shared
So
the text
inappropriate.
message she received from Beyonce.
Yeah,
The day after her and
unnecessary.
Harry's interview
why
with Oprah Winfrey
and the King had
aired
spoken
in
last
March
week,
2021.
quite movingly.
In the 6th
about
episode,
what it was
Markle
like
reads
to
the
have
message
cancer,
aloud,
to have serious
expressing
cancer.
her surprise and
To
gratitude.
say, look, you know,
She wants me to
it
feel
happens
safe
to me,
and
it happens to
protected.
you.
She admires and respects my bravery and vulnerability,
I thought, yeah, absolutely.
and thinks I was
thought that,
selected to break generational
of all the
curses
things
that
that
need to
Harry
be
said,
healed.
that was the
Prince
one that
Andrew's
was the most
former crisis
upsetting.
manager has
sign
been
why
secretly
the king
filmed saying the
and his
British royal
son,
was
other son,
effing
can never
underage
trust Harry.
girls while friends with Jeffrey Epstein
again.
in
No, there's no
embarrassing
conversation they can ever have
released
because it'll be on
online
Netflix.
Thursday.
Yeah.
As the Daily
so
Beast
the king, I mean, look,
reported,
he's
the
been
hidden
to
camera
Australia.
tape was made by
He's
the
here.
notorious
He's
mega
off to Canada
provocateur
in a
James
few
O'Keefe,
weeks.
the
So he's
founder
doing his
of
bit,
the
but he is
controversial
undergoing
Veritas,
very
which has
regular
previously
treatment,
been
as I
accused of
understand it.
publishing
So
deceptively
it's tough.
edited videos.
We're just watching the royal family
still,
heading back
Caught on
inside
tape
now,
is John
and
Bryan,
just as I think
who
the
dated Andrew's
heavens
wife,
may be
Sarah
about to
Ferguson,
open
for
here.
6 years, from
They-
Rain
1991
held off.
They
to
did hold off.
1997.
Well timed.
He also became a friend of Prince Andrew, despite
You
UK
sounded a bit
newspaper
gloomy there,
claims that
Nigel, about the king.
he sucked on
I'm very
Fergie's
sorry
toes
for him.
while on vacation.
I mean, he
in
had
the
to wait an
south
awfully
of
long
France in
time. And by the way,
1992.
he and I have disagreed on
Bryan
things
always derided
quite
the story as
publicly,
a
and
tabloid
we've had a
exaggeration,
few private laughs
saying
about
he
our
was playing an
disagreements.
innocent game
But you
with
know,
Fergie's
Andrew,
kids in which they pretended
I've always
she was a
believed
fairy tale princess.
that he's
and were kissing
fundamentally a
her
very
feet.
good man.
However,
a very
it was
good
a sensational
human being,
story
very kind,
because Ferguson
very
was still
caring,
married to
very
Andrew.
genuine.
She was staying at
and he does
Balmoral
care
with the
enormously
royals
about
when
the
story was
Commonwealth and our
published.
connection with
And
all
Queen
those
Elizabeth
things.
II
And
told
the
her to
chap
pack
had to
her
wait
bags
until he was in his
and leave the
mid-70s
nest.
Yeah.
before he got the job,
Prince
and
Philip
blame me down
never
if within a
spoke
few
to her
months.
He struck down
The
the
couple
cancer.
officially
He had a horrible
separated in the
diagnosis.
aftermath of the story
So it's been,
and divorced
you know,
in
it's very
1996.
tough.
And when you consider his
If
parents
you
had such
stand with Harry and
remarkably good
Meghan,
health for so long.
if you believe
his
in
father came to
rising
99, his
above
mother
Well,
to
if
97.
you're
his
tired
mother
of the
and father,
palace
but of course, if you go back a
subscribe to
generation
this
before,
channel and show
they
your
weren't living very
support
long
by
at all.
hitting
Well,
that
George
super
VI was
thanks
52,
button.
53.
Let's keep
Yeah,
the
so
truth
they
alive.
were, you
Let's
know,
keep
and
the Sussex squad
actually,
strong. Until next
there've been
time,
quite a
stay
history
kind,
going
stay
back
loyal,
of
and
the males and the
remember,
royal
they tried
line
to
not
bury
living very
them.
long.
They didn't know they were
So
seen.
yeah, I just feel a bit sorry for him. That's all. But you know.
I mean, it's just one of those things, isn't it? I should just say